Now, mop-up operations continue in KZN. NGOs are lending a helping hand to residents who have lost much. Meanwhile, water and electricity issues continue as schooling has also been interrupted. Our reporters Des and Thalthia, as well as Nobile Matlala, in various parts of the province covering this particular story for us. Des, and perhaps to start with you, at least 60 people are still unaccounted for. How are rescue operations, particularly those driven by NGOs, coming along this morning?
The NGOs have played a big part in these efforts that are taking place here in KwaZulu-Natal. I mean, everyone has really come on board from all parts of the country. You'll see the types of resources that are here at the Virginia airport. There are members that have come through here from other parts of the country. As you mentioned, the NGOs have joined hands, local residents, SANDF. You'll see it's Augusta helicopter just taking off now, picking up a member of the search and rescue team. So this is the central point at which all of these operations are coordinated from. It's where the members are deployed from every morning, and they get to go to various parts of the province to try to assist where they can. In fact, just from standing here this morning, we've seen a number of teams leaving. A few of them are still left. They're waiting for their deployments, but resources have been bolstered by the addition of those members coming in from all parts of the country. Speaking of which, I'm now joined by Fred Munich. He's with the City of Cape Town's Fire and Rescue Services. Fred, thank you so much for joining me. I know this is a very, very busy time. What is the priority for today? We're probably at about a week in after the floods, and we know that there are still almost 60 people unaccounted for. Your priority as part of the search and rescue team?
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. So our priorities is established by our Joint Operations Centre. So what we've found now is as the infrastructure is being restored, the cell phone towers, the connectivity, we're getting an influx of new cases. So we send our teams to assess those cases, and then based on that assessment we would respond a reaction force to deal with the situation on the ground as such. So those are one of our priorities, and then the second would be to start mopping up those incidents that we've already been to, and there's more work to be done.
So far, I mean, we know that road access has been a problem, hence the aircraft that we're seeing here. What have been some of the challenges that you've been experiencing as a team in some of these cases that you've attended?
Some of our major challenges is access. We work on plotting systems, GPS systems, because most of the teams are not from KZN. Finding the location en route, there's no roadways, it's been compromised, been washed away, so we have to get alternate access to the actual area. And once we are on the ground, one of the major challenges is getting equipment in there. A lot of the damage is large scale. We need heavy equipment, and there's just no access for it, so it's down to manual labor and hand tools.
Fred, this is a large-scale operation, and I think right now residents of KwaZulu-Natal are looking for a certain degree of reassurance. There are so many people that want your teams there. They feel that their loved ones are still missing. They are desperately looking for them themselves. These are the pictures that we are seeing. How are you managing that process of trying to deal with such a vast area?
The area in KZN, the topography is very difficult. It's very hilly. There's very limited communications abilities. So we've brought in assistance. SARSAR, for example, are dealing or assisting with establishing communication. So when we get onto the ground, it's a matter of assessing what the job is and then establishing communications, getting our resources onto the ground. And we liaise with the community. We explain what is our objectives, what we can do, and we take it from there as a case-by-case matter.
Yeah, and just, as we end, Fred, let's just talk about something positive amid all of this death and destruction. I think being part of this team, you'd also get quite a sense of how many different entities are here. What's it like working with that kind of team from across provinces, different entities, NGOs, normal people, during a time like this? What does it say, really?
Yes, it's... For a search and rescue, this type of nature incident, I think it's the first in South Africa. There is a collation of forces from various agencies, whether it's government, local governments, NGOs. The spirits of the guys are high. They are by nature a rescuer. They want to go and assist the people. It's almost a family bond, an unspoken bond between the rescuers, irrespective of where you're from. The guys are getting along, open arms, they engage with each other, and they're all professional, very high skilled, and we actually doing making quite an impact on the ground.
Yeah, and I think in closing, Fred, I must also pass my condolences to that family you're talking about. That's for the passing of that search and rescue member, Sergeant Busi Mchwara. The team here is mourning her as well as K9 Leia, both of them tragically drowning amid a search. So, as you've heard, their teams are already on the ground. We will be trying to track some of them as they get out to the different areas today. We are told that they will be focusing on some of the smaller incidents which may not have been, or rather the places which may not have been reached previously. So hopefully they will be able to assist some of those families that are desperately searching for their loved ones.
All right, Des, and thank you very much for that update. Ngobile, just to rope you in, I just want to establish progress in restoring services to the community. Has electricity or water supply been restored where you are?
Well, at this point, Nomfundo Gwandenge is... These are the areas that have been identified by eThekwini municipality when they sent out a statement talking about that there are works on the ground with regards to trying and fixing water. We know areas like Hillcrest, which is not far from here, have already had some of their water having been fixed at this point, but some areas also still struggling. So Gwandengezi is still one of those areas that find themselves this morning without water. In fact, we are seeing a lot of people where we're standing. This used to be what they call spring water, which the community has decided to put a pipe essentially on the ground to get that water, and that's basically what's the water that they're currently using. We've heard from some of them as well telling us that they haven't really seen water tankers, and if they do, they're seeing the trucks as they drive past the community coming back from some of the areas that are further down. Now you can just imagine the sort of desperation that this is causing for many areas, a lot of people wanting water, but of course it's very difficult. So this community decided then to come up with a plan and get that spring water using a pipe which they have now connected. But what I want to bring your attention to is speak to some of the leaders in this community, a community member who understand essentially what has been happening in this area. Lindo, I'm going to call you in terms of perhaps explain to us in terms of what is really going on as a person that is in the community.
La sisinqobile sinenkinga yamanzi cabanga ukuthi usuku lesi7 then sinenkinga yamanzi abanye bashonela badinga amanzi for kwenzela abantu ababavakashele bebenzela amatiye abanye badinga ukuclean kodwa amanzi awekho abanye bashonelwe abanye abakwazi ukukhipha ukukhipha umuntu ozomsiza ezokha amanzi uthola ukuthi ugogo uyedwa nje lapho ngoba umuzi wakhe umwele abanye bashonelwe mhlawumbe abantu abawu11 emndenini owodwa bahlele lokhunjeni komakhelwane.
Manje lento esikhuluma ngayo nje Lindo iba affecta kanjani abantu abadala ikakhulukazi?
Ngithi nje ibabulele iyababulala kakhulu ngoba manje abakwazi ukwenza lutho abantu abadala badinga ukugeza badinga ukuflash. So zonke lezo zinto igcine ngasenzeka yilokhunje amanzi mayengekho. Abanye bathi bake bawabona ama water tanks kodwa awafinyelelanga kubona. Angazi ukuthi kanjani.
Mhlawumbe ngokwakho nje njengomuntu okhuluma nabantu la kungenziwa kanjani yini edingakalayo ikakhulukazi la?
Amanzi mhlawumbe bese nama water tanks because abonje nje sekuphela isikhathi eside angaka at least belethe nga2 ebe enough because kunendawo engabuyile amanzi usizo kwabanye omakhelwane laba bashonelwe emndeni yabo abangazi ukuthi bazoqala ngaphi benze ngaphi uhamba indlu yonke badinga abanye badinga usizo nalaba abalokhunjile abashonelwe yingane kuselingane sokuthi kuselingane kushona wonke umuntu emndenini kuselingane ubona ukuthi kudinga usizo ngathi ngasheshe nje lize.
Right. Siyabonga kakhulu. Ulindo Buhle Mchunu there. He's one of the community leaders here in the area that has, of course, been going to some of these families that are affected. I want to bring in some of the community members that, of course, are getting the water in that pipe. Koko, kati sikubona nje manje kaduka manzi. I'm sure akukho easy ukuyithola uphatha igubhe uzokha manzi.
Kuthiwani?
Cha sengishela ukuthi gogo njengoba ukhamanzi uzizwa nje unjani?
Andikho umuzi. Hayi, ngiyahluleka ukukha uthatha isigubhu esikhulu. Ngithatha lesi esincane akukho bantwana, umina ngedwa. Ngihlala ngedwa khona. Manje ngiyahlupheka nokuhlupheka mntana.
Wena gogo nje njengoba ulana akekho umunye umuntu ongakusiza.
Akekho.
Ake sibuze kuwena mama, nawe kade sikubona uphethe amanzi nje manje uwabeke ekhanda. Kuphatha kanjani ukuthi usuyithola uzokha amanzi la?
Kungiphatha kabuhlungu sesikuzokha amanzi. So kukude la siya khona. So kanti ngithutha nje lamanzi mina ngishonele vele abantu abawu4 endlini. Ngishonele nje ngangithutha lamanzi ngiqala izolo ngithutha amanzi ngiyabeka ekhanda ngibona ukuthi isizwe alikho akekho nomuntu ongangilekelela. Ngikwenzela ukuthi ngikwazi ukuba kubonakala ukuthi nakumngcwabo kuzangcwatshwa kanjani. Ngingani noba nalawo bayobongcwatshwa bayophunywa kanjani emoshara ngoba kumanje kumoshakele yonke into umzuwile sikomakhelwane kumanje
manje mama kule ndawo le enhleli kuyona engabe beke bafika mhlambe abaphathi noma iziphathi mandla zala kuma municipalities or kwi government abake bafika nje bazonduduza noma banika idea ukuthi kuzokwenzakalani?
Akunanto esinikiwe sisi oko sihleli nje oko sihleli siyehla siyenyuka ayikho nje into esike sayine kwakho umuntu ke wafika ngomakhelwane nje kuphela njengoba sikhala sonke sixakeke sonke kunamuntu ke wafika nje ozosiduduza.
Siyabonga kakhulu ma. Well, Namfundo, quite a sad picture painted by the lady right now. She's saying that she's lost about 4 people already to the floods, that it's very difficult for her emotionally, of course. She's saying that she hasn't seen any authorities or any officials coming to assist in any way, but she finds herself in here trying to get some water and also trying to figure out what happens with her life now that there's 4 people that she needs to obviously prepare for burial for. But also the older lady as well here on the side just saying to us that she says she finds it difficult as an older person. It's very difficult for her to carry anything that is heavy, and so she still needs to get some water, but at this point it's very difficult, so it's taking a strain on her in terms of her physicality. But at the same time, hearing from the leader much earlier on saying that even though people are struggling with water, really at this point it's one of their worries, but more than anything, people need help. They've lost so many people during these floods. They're going through an emotional strain, but at the same time, they need to worry about these things. They're just saying that if there is a way to provide 2 tankers at least for the area so that it's enough for everyone, can that be done just to lessen that load, because people have a lot to deal with at this point.
No, actually very concerning, Ngobile, because this is what the Premier Sihle Zikalala actually committed to yesterday, at the very least, that at least a water tanker will come to those communities once a day. That was one of the priorities. Hopefully later on in the day they will be providing water to that community. But thanks a lot for that update. That is our reporter Ngobile Madlala, as well as senior reporter Desin Thalthia, just giving us updates in and around KZN now insofar as rescue operations are concerned, as well as the restoration of services. Still to come.